a great Tuesday afternoon to you. Hope your day is going fabulously. Another hot one here in southern Arizona. Make sure you get your hydration out there to stay safe. First week of high school football coming up. We're getting excited about that. The lower division schools are going to be on the field this Friday night. We got some games happening here in southern Arizona. Sabino's going to be playing at home, defending Conference 3A champions. Tanca Verde's going to be playing at home. Great job out there by Jeff Bolnow last year in his first season to get the Hawks to the playoffs, and they got to win their first ever postseason state tournament win. Nothing better than that for sure. And we've got a new school this year. We got a new school that's going to be playing some football. Desert Christian has got a football team this year. They're going to be playing 1A, which is still 8-man. 8-man is like, have you ever seen 8-man, J-Dub? I went down to St. David. St. David is one of the best 8-men programs here in southern Arizona. I went down there a few years ago and did a story on those folks. When you think of 8-man football, you really think of places like Texas, the middle of America, where you've got a lot of smaller communities and that kind of thing. But yeah, 8-man football flourishes here in southern Arizona as well. And we've got some teams, and Desert Christian is going to be one of those. So we're looking forward to seeing a Desert Christian for the first time play some football.
I don't know a ton about 8-man, but I do know about Desert Christian because Desert Christian was in the same league as Greenfields when I was playing basketball.
Exactly. So then they you mentioned basketball. They play some pretty good basketball.
Yeah, they did back in the day. They always do.
Over there at Desert Christian. And so it's going to be interesting to see. And they've traditionally been very good at baseball, too. Has Desert Christian. So we'll kind of see how that translates potentially into football. Really looking forward to seeing that program and what they're able to do with it starting this year. We've got flag football on the horizon as well. 8 teams will be playing flag football this year. We had just 2 last year here in southern Arizona. We're going to have 8 more. I think I've heard Palo Verde is on the list of those teams. We'll get the full list for you that are going to be playing football this year. So a lot in store for you as we get into the summer months, into the fall months here and the school year, which has kicked off in the last few weeks. Students continuing to come on the campus for the University of Arizona. I was driving through campus today. I had to wait at a very long stop sign because it is rush happening, and there was a parade of sorority girls that were crossing the street. It was almost like I was waiting for a train because they just kept coming. There was probably 40 or 50 of them. Finally, they got to a group, and the one girl was like, "Stop," and they let me go through. So thanks to that, the big sister who allowed me to get on the campus so I could watch a little football practice today. Practice number 16 for the Arizona Wildcats as they continue to prep. They broke camp over the weekend. We'll dive into Arizona football today. Glenn Howell is going to join us. Wildcat breakdown in full swing. We are going to get into some more position groups analysis today with Glenn. We'll talk about his favorite position, the tight ends. Also, we'll get into the linebackers coming up a little bit later with Glenn Howell. You'll also hear from Dwayne Aquina, the defensive coordinator. We heard from the offensive coordinator, Dino Babers, yesterday, and it'll be Dwayne Aquina today. We'll get his thoughts on where things stand as we are now T-minus 11 days from kickoff of Arizona and New Mexico. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. 520-848-1290. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. The D-backs getting set for game number 2 of their series in Miami. We'll dive into that coming up before first pitch. First pitch scheduled for 3:40. We'll give you your Diamondbacks download, highlights from last night's game, reaction from Torey Lovullo. What a ball game for Adrian Del Castillo last night. 6 runs batted in for the rookie as he continues to swing a hot bat. And Jake McCarthy. We'll see. We didn't get the player of the month last month for the Diamondbacks with Gino Suarez, but we'll see. Jake McCarthy is putting in his resume for player of the month of August. We'll see if he gets the possibility, gets a chance to maybe be that guy, because he hit another home run last night. Diamondbacks put up 9 and beat the Marlins 9-6. Got to beat up on these bad teams. Dodgers 0-1, so Arizona's still 4 games out of first place in the National League West. Steve Kerr spoke at the Democratic National Convention last night. Arizona basketball legend. Boy, does that have people in their feelings. I mean, there's people all over the place about Steve Kerr when he starts talking politics. How do you feel about that? Well, we'll let you, if you've got feelings that you want to get out about your favorite basketball player and his political stances, we can talk about that today. 520-848-1290 is the number. 520-848-1290.
Make sure the dump button's working.
Yeah, make sure the dump button is working, because there are a lot of folks up in their feelings about Steve Kerr last night. I think I saw. I think I saw our guy. Gosh, I can't. My name. I'm blanking on his name now.
What aspect of our lives is this guy represent?
Our guy. Our routine caller.
Paul?
No, here in Tucson.
Doug.
Thank you. Can't remember Doug's name. Doug said he's getting off Twitter. He's like, he's done. I can't handle this. Is just too toxic.
Do you remember 11 months ago when he said he had avoided social media up until 11 months ago and decided he was going to create a Twitter account and how great he was having, how great his experience was? And I said, that's awesome, man. Yeah. That's great. On the air, we had this conversation. I said, that's great and all. And it's gotten a little toxic in the last few years.
It is.
Moments like this.
It's like, I don't understand. I've never understood it. It's like, why can't we just have honest, intelligent conversations? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I have lots of Republican friends. If I went down the 5, I would say it was probably an even split in my wedding.
I think there's a certain Auburn, Alabama element to it, where you don't root for Auburn if you're from Alabama.
Right.
It's okay. You just don't.
Even though Auburn is in Alabama.
You don't root for the University of Alabama if you're
exactly
Charles Barkley.
Exactly. But yeah, how do you feel about your guy Steve Kerr? We'll let you hear what Steve had to say. He spoke for about 6 minutes at the Democratic National Convention last night. I mean, Steve Kerr on the dais with some heavyweights last night in the Democratic Party. I mean, Hillary Clinton spoke. Raphael Warnock spoke. Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, spoke. Of course, the president spoke. And there you got Steve Kerr out of the University of Arizona up there leading in for all of those heavyweights that spoke last night in Chicago, Illinois. So we'll let you hear what Steve Kerr had to say. He went after Donald Trump. No surprise there. If you've heard Steve Kerr speak in the past, he's not really a fan at all of the former president.
I wonder why Twitter came after Steve Kerr so much last night then.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. The folks that love the 44th, I never get the numbers right, 45th president of the United States are not big fans of Steve Kerr. That's for sure. That's for sure. I said yesterday that, again, we've been playing, if you've been listening over the course of the summer, we've been playing a lot of things from BetQL, which is one of the many betting sites that are out there. And I said last night that I think I'm going to see how good these people at BetQL are. And I'm going to start taking some of their advice and seeing if they're on point. Well, I did for the first time last night, J-Dub. They said one of the BetQL that we ran during our show, and it runs 3 times a day, it said
Dodgers,
take
right?
the Dodgers on the money line last night. So I took the Dodgers on the money line, bet my $12.90, $12.90, that's the bet. And the Dodgers won 3-0. So the BetQL people are 1-0 so far this week. Now, the downside to that is the guy that got the shutout for the Dodgers was Gavin Stone, who was on my fantasy team until I had to cut him 3 weeks ago.
I think that's the only rule of fantasy baseball is that if you have a pitcher who's struggling, you cut them, they will throw a shutout the next game out.
The next game out, right. So I did not, unfortunately, get the benefit of having that love by Gavin Stone last night. Struck out 11. 11 strikeouts last night for Gavin Stone. None of those going to the Guardians of the Tribe. That's the name of my fantasy team. So, yeah, disappointing there. So today we'll lay out what the BetQL. In fact, I'm going to give you all 3 of these. 2 of them are for today. One of them is for this weekend, college football. The BetQL folks are saying take the Reds on the run line tonight. The Cincinnati Reds on the run line when they're on the road is a 5-star play. That's what they call it. 5-star play. The Cincinnati Reds on the road line. The run line. We'll dive into this further a little bit later. I'm just going to give you these off the top, and so you can get your bets into whatever service that you prefer. They also say take the Mets on the money line tonight over the Orioles at home. That's a pretty interesting one because the Mets, although they surged a little bit in July, have kind of come back to earth. They're 5 games over 500. Baltimore obviously leading the American League East. Or actually, I'm sorry, they trail the Yankees by a half game now, but are in second place and leading the wild card. So the Orioles are a really good team at 20 over. But the bet tonight, according to BetQL, is to take the Mets on the money line over the Orioles. And the other one they had for today was involving college football because we've got college football week 0 this weekend.
How do you feel about week 0?
The term?
No, the concept. Because, Arizona had to deal with this, I want to say it was 4 years ago, where they never had a bye. They got a bye in the first. They didn't have their bye until the week after the Territorial Cup.
Yes. Again, it's I don't have any problem playing on week 0. If that's I don't think we've played week 0 since Hawaii. Was that 2019? I think was the last time the Wildcats technically played on week 0. There's not a lot of games. I think there's like 7 games this weekend. But yeah, if you have a game on week 0, because we have 2 bye weeks. Like I think if we had played week 0, we might have had 3. Because I think sometimes, well, at least now, the way that the scheduling looks like it might go now, you might get 3 bye weeks if you're playing week 0, whereas the Wildcats now only have 2 currently.
4 games.
So they're saying take Indiana and lay the points against Florida International this weekend. I believe the line is around 27. So that's what the BetQ. So we'll wait on that bet maybe for the weekend, but we'll have to decide. Maybe I'll make that the question of the day today. Do we take the Reds on the run line on the road because they are they win like 67% of the time on the run line on the road this season? Do the Reds, or do we take the Mets on the money line at home against the Orioles? Perhaps that'll be our question of the day. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Much in store for you. We're going to be joined by Dave Cosgrove coming up later in this hour. We'll talk some Pima soccer. We'll get Dave Cosgrove's thoughts on all of the changes happening in junior college athletics in the ACCAC with expansion. We talked about it with last week with Ken Hockamy, and then we also talked about it with Dan Bethel on Friday. As how is it affecting each one of these Aztec teams now that there's no more interdivision play, and you've got more teams now that have been added to the league. Cricket gets you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Oracle and Steam Pump Way in Oracle with a reported collision, and also some slowing on westbound Ajo Way approaching Mission Road. Do have a 15% chance of rain this afternoon, about a 25% chance for rain about 8 tonight, 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals utilize their award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
Hey, it's Rich Eisen here. Tune in each weekday from noon to 3 p.m. for The Rich Eisen Show, right here on Tucson's home of Arizona Wildcats football.
Touchdown, Arizona!
And the National Football League. Wildcats Radio, 1290.